It is Sunday night, April the 11th, 2021. I am Stephen Muehlhausen from DAZN. Daryl Rivera will be joining me. As you see, there's two of these banners, and TY will be joining me in a few moments. But the night of WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 37 is definitely in the books. It took place night 2 from Raymond James Stadium out in Tampa, Florida. Sold out, as WWE sent me a press release to tout 2 consecutive nights, 25,675. But before we get to all those goodies, I want to thank everyone who joined us last night. It was a long night. Trust me. I promise. I know and I understand. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. It means a lot. It's greatly appreciated. It means a whole lot more than you guys definitely understand. Yeah, it really, really does. So thank you guys. It means a lot. I love you. Thank you so much. Don't forget, it's very simple. It doesn't matter how you watch. If you watch via Facebook, it's simple. Like the Walkway to Fight Club. Follow the page. Also like the video. Like it. Heart it. Give me a haha, thumbs down. Leave a crap ton of comments. Leave questions. We had a ton last night. Answering them all. It wasn't until 4 in the morning, but you know what though? They all got answered at the end of the day. If you're watching via YouTube, it's simple. Give it the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Subscribers keep coming up. Got a really good interview up with AEW CEO and owner Tony Khan. Stuff with Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman. Got a goodie. Another goodie for you guys coming tomorrow. I'm working hard. Working hard for the man, not Becky Lynch, who we did not see tonight, and we will get into that in a little while. But a very good interview tomorrow. I will have up for you guys. I'll have it chopped up, and I'll have it for you guys later in the day as I am getting my first COVID shot tomorrow. I wasn't supposed to get it. I was supposed to get it April 24th, the day of UFC 261. But you know what? Crap in my town happens. They open it up to a place. It's at a banquet center near my house. So my wife signed me up, and then a good interview popped up. I got reached out to, and your boy ain't turning down interviews, ladies and gentlemen. So that interview will be up tomorrow. Video interview. So the video will be up tomorrow. I'm working on a couple things to tinker up the graphic game in terms of I'm not very good at graphics. So I apologize. So from the bottom of my heart, so if you're wondering why we don't have graphics right now, my graphic game is very minimal at best. If anyone knows how to do graphics, please let me know. Please. I do apologize. I'm kind of just looking at my phone here. I was waiting for Daryl to come and join us. But don't forget, if you listen to the audio version of the podcast, it's simple. Rate, review, subscribe. We're available on every podcasting platform, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, iHeart. And there's like 16,420 podcast platforms. I didn't know this, but they're definitely there. So I want to thank everyone so much that's been listening. It's been a banner month. I'm kind of baffled because I didn't think you guys cared that much, but no, I want to thank you guys so much. I want to thank you to all the great guests. So, but let's kind of I want to give my thoughts really quickly on the show and give your thoughts to WrestleMania 37. Leave questions, leave comments. Tell me what you thought. The head of the table, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, retained the WWE Universal Championship over Kevin Owens and not Kevin Owens, over Daniel Bryan and Edge. Rhea Ripley becomes the Raw Women's Champion, defeating Asuka. Apollo Crews, with the help of Dabba-Kato, becomes the Intercontinental Champion. Shayna Basler and Nia Jax retain the WWE Women's Tag Team titles over Natalya and Tamina. Randy Orton beat Bray Wyatt. We'll get into that complete utter nonsense. And also we saw I'm trying to get like that mirror image of that match. I'm really just trying to get out of my mind. Kevin Owens defeated Sami Zayn and Logan Paul took a stunner. Thank God. My thoughts on WrestleMania 37, night 2. I had very high expectations just because of what we saw last night. And if you looked at this card on paper, it was a much better card. And that's not a knock on what we saw on night 1 last night. It was just, it's the way I saw it. And that's the way it looked like it was going to be. That, unfortunately, didn't happen. I thought it was a subpar show. I thought some of the matches under-delivered, which I was very, very surprised by. I wasn't expecting a lot of those matches to under-deliver. That was quite the disappointment. I don't know what. I think it was just because we had such high expectations for this show, and look at what we ended up getting. And I hate saying that because you could tell the talent worked very hard. And I don't want to take away from the talent. You know they were geeked. You know they were excited to be in front of fans. And I thought the MVP of the entire weekend was the fans. The fans made WrestleMania 37. And you can just tell how excited the fans were because they were giving the right reactions. They weren't manufactured like we've been seeing at the Thunderdome. And what we got was, and look at particularly the main event. Roman Reigns got heavily booed. Daniel Bryan got cheered. Edge got a great reaction. Ripley got cheered. Asuka got cheered. The right people got cheered. The right people got booed. But they were loud. They were letting everybody know that they're here. They want to be there. And WWE's gotten a lot of flack for having fans at WrestleMania. Because Florida's it's the Wild Wild West. Look at the UFC coming there in a little less than 2 weeks. And it seemed like the way they had them socially distant for the most part, it looked okay. I don't know. I haven't gotten a full report from people I know that were there. So we'll have to see. But the talent worked hard, but the show just didn't. I just couldn't jive with it for some reason. I couldn't get beyond the last 2 matches of the show and parts of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This show was hard to get into. I just couldn't. I couldn't. What about you guys? Were you guys able to get into the show? Am I being just very naive? Am I being too harsh? I really don't. In all honesty, I don't think I am. But I could see why some would think I am. Because it's all be like, oh, come on, Steve. It's the talent worked hard. They worked their ass off. Yeah, they worked their ass off. But you look at the opening match. We'll get right into it. And we'll get more to them when we'll kind of work way up. The show started with Randy Orton and the Fiend Bray Wyatt. And I said this to the guy that was editing for DAZN and for DAZN this evening, and it was the craziest yet one of the coolest entrances in the history of WrestleMania. You see like Bray and that kind of like all the way in the back. It kind of like that when the Weekend does his entrance. It was like that. I'm like, okay, this is actually gonna be pretty cool. And then they do the whole Firefly Funhouse theme. Alexa Bliss comes out. And then like Bray Wyatt comes out like in his Jack in the Box with the eerie music. And I'm like, oh man, this is actually pretty cool. And whoever left that heart, thank you. I heart you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. It's greatly appreciated. Don't forget, it's simple, guys. Give a reaction. If you're watching via Facebook on the Walkway to Fight Club Facebook page, it's simple. Leave a comment on the video and also leave a comment. Leave a thumbs up, a heart, a ha-ha, thumbs down. Tell me I suck. However you guys got to do it, do it. But I'm like so baffled. I'm seeing this Jack in the Box. And then Alexa's like doing the lever, and then like Bray, I'm like, pops. I'm like, oh my god, it's so cool. They had me for a minute, and then they got in the ring, and it was blah. Orton worked hard. You could tell Randy Orton was working really hard. Randy Orton, I felt like, had a big point to prove in this match. And he tried hard. It's just this Fiend character. It's hard. It's hard for... Wyatt's never been a great wrestler to begin with. This just really didn't help the cause. And there he is, the handsomest man in all the land, DY Daryl Rivera. Going over Randy Orton, just kind of giving thoughts here. We're talking about Orton and Wyatt. And Orton had his working shoes on. The Fiend did his shit. Orton went for RKO, he missed. Wyatt was about to hit Sister Abigail. And then out comes Alexa Bliss from the Jack in the Box. And that black blood stuff that Orton was coming out from. And like Wyatt seemed mesmerized. Orton slipped out, rolled his arm over, hit the RKO. And Randy Orton, after we haven't seen the Fiend in a match since December, did the JOB at the PPV to the RKO. What in the fuck was that opening match about, DY?
It was a clusterfuck because it was one of the matches that I was actually looking forward to, just because I wanted to see what they would do. The mistake was, and I think I texted you this as it happened, the mistake was having a standard match between the two. The Fiend is that type of character that you cannot have a standard match with him anymore. After you had the Firefly Funhouse and everything like that, he's a cinematic character. He's shown you that. That's where I think the mistake happened here. The entrance was great. I think it was one of the best entrances in all of WrestleMania this year because it was fantastic. But then the match never got out of the first gear. It was the wrong finish. It was a clusterfuck of stuff. It was confusing as all hell. Nobody knew what happened. And it set the tone for the entire night. Placement of match is so important. You saw yesterday, you had Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley kick off the show, right? Set the tone for a good night of wrestling. This one, it got you into first gear. It kept you there for about 10, 12 minutes. Then you got the tag team match, and it even kept you there as well. And I heard you say this a little bit as I was driving in. It was one of those nights that you couldn't get into as much as you tried to get into, as opposed to the main event excluded and Asuka Ripley excluded. It was a very hard night to get into and enjoy it.
You know, and it's not a knock on the talent, and we got a lot of people coming. Got a lot of people coming in and out here. I am Steven Muehlhausen from DAZN, along with combat sports journalist Daryl Rivera. We are talking WrestleMania 37, Night 2 recap, results, review, and reaction. If you're watching via Facebook, guys, it's simple. Just like the Walkway to Fight Club, follow the page. However you're watching the video, hit a reaction, thumbs up, thumbs down, love, haha, anything in between. Leave a question, a comment, and I promise it will get answered. Also, if you're watching via YouTube, it's simple. Give it the old thumbs up and hit that old subscribe button. It was just hard. And I was excited for tonight. Me and you were talking a good part, for the first half of the day, and it was like, I'm feeling good. I told the wife, I'm cooking burgers on the grill, having some macaroni salad. I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm like, hey, I'm ready. I'm like, because on paper, this card is great.
Yeah.
Better than what we saw last night. And then, like you just said, and we said it a little bit ago, the opening match always sets the tone. They picked the wrong match. Why are you going that match? You could have I would have gone one of 3 matches. I would have gone only one of, I'll say 3. Why not? I would either have gone with Biggie and Apollo, because that had a great story going in. KO and Sami Zayn, I like that story coming in. And you add in the Logan Paul factor, which ended up working out great. Or you start with the women's title match. Instead, you go with that hot mess. Great story, but you knew what the match was going to be in the ring. And what we ended up getting was a lot of shaking of the head and a lot of people going, what the fuck?
This bag is full of shit. That's what they gave us. Shit in the bag.
I called it a dumpster. I put it in the blog. I called it a dumpster fire. Like, if the coolest thing about the match is the entrance, there is something wrong.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And I would have chosen one different match and one of the same. I would have either gone with the women's title, keep the trend going. You had the 2 major titles in the first night go first and last. Jericho says it best, and he said this many times. At WrestleMania, you're either first or you're last because you got the most attention in those spots. That's where the title matches should be, in my opinion. Or you would have switched Cesaro and Seth Rollins with Sheamus and Riddle.
Or you could have gone with Sheamus or no. I didn't even forget about that match. Was fantastic too.
That match was good. Great finish, by the way. And we'll get to that.
Very good finish.
But I would have switched the 2 and have Cesaro and Seth Rollins on night 2 and have them kick off the show.
Just so much head-scratching booking. And what did you guys think of the booking? Leave a question, leave a comment. I promise it will get answered. What do you guys think of the booking of this show? And it set the tone. I agree with you. Go with the women. Excuse me. You have that momentum from Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. You have all that momentum. And then you don't do nothing with it. And you go with Randy Orton. And this is not a knock on Orton. I'm a big fan of what Orton's done in the last 12 months. Randy Orton's been fantastic. One of the top 5 people in the company, in my mind, in the last 12 months.
Arguably his best year in 5 years.
Oh, no doubt about it. Agree 100%. And then we got this. And this isn't Orton's fault. Orton had the working boots on. Just the Fiend is very limited. He's like you said, he's a special attraction. They fumbled this up here.
Yep.
Really bad, and that just kind of set the tone for the rest of the show.
And I wouldn't put the, like you mentioned, I wouldn't put the blame on Orton. I wouldn't put the blame on the Fiend either. The Fiend, everybody knows what the Fiend is, but it's tonight it looked like the creative forgot what the Fiend was. Last year you hit lightning in a bottle with the Fiend and the Cena match, because that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Like I'm still to this day watching it back and forth. You could have done that with Randy Orton, who's had a controversial career. He was the youngest at the time. He was the youngest world heavyweight champion to get crowned. Not only that, he couldn't handle the pressure. He had backstage issues. He was the legend killer. You had so many things that you could have used as the Fiend's ammunition, quote unquote. The same thing with what they used with Cena last year. You could have had Cena tie into this match. You could have gone an entirely different way. Instead, they ended up going with what we got tonight. Great entrance. They forgot, hey, the Fiend is limited to what he can do. He's a guy that's not going to sell anything. He's a guy that, he's going to be very limited in the ring. You basically booked him in a way he's indestructible. But yet you had him lose to the jackhammer to Goldberg and a random Saudi Arabia show for no reason. And it wasn't even a jackhammer. It was like a modified suplex that he could barely get him off the ground. And then the RKO this year. Creator just keeps fumbling Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt gives him the tools to be great, and Creator just lets him down completely.
Oh, we're going to talk about creative. This is going to be kind of a little bit of a theme of what I felt of this show, particularly in the co-main event. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But let's get into. Hold on 1 second. I lost my spot there. I do apologize. Let's get to the first title match of the evening. Shayna Basler and Nia Jax beat Natalya and Tamina to retain the WWE. I don't know why I keep saying Raw. I'm like so ingrained with them in Raw. The WWE Women's Tag Team titles. You see them coming on. And I'm like, oh no. Please no. Why are we doing this? But thankfully, they shockingly told a great story. Where the hell is this Tamina Snuka been? My God, I never seen so much fire in Tamina. Maybe it took being with Natty. It was because the story was simple. You wanted to see the daughters of icons break through and win the big one at the Showcase of the Immortals. And the story was there. The crowd was behind it. The crowd was with them. Then you had Tamina slam Nia, and you're like, they're showing that fire. They're slapping. Nia's calling her a bitch. I'm like, how do you bleep shit, but you don't bleep bitch? Can someone freaking tell me that? How do you bleep out shit? But we can just toss around the B word like it's not running out of style.
I mean, I don't know what WWE defines as a curse word or whatnot, but I mean, I would have kept the shit in there. Why not? If you're gonna keep bitch in there, might as well keep shit.
That's like I'm thinking that like in my mind, and I'm like, what are we doing here?
And they didn't even bleep it. They didn't even bleep it. They ended up like having like a sound cut like 2 seconds after she already said it. Like you ain't shit. Bleep.
I'm like, okay, and then like 30 seconds later, she calls her a bitch, and I'm like, what?
I mean,
what are we doing?
It was great. I I was shocked that I got invested, and you and me were going back and forth on this. Like, we were like, is it wrong that we're getting invested after that match last night? And I'm like, you know what? No, because I want to see Natty win. And then 2 seconds later,
I was just like, I'm like, WTF? What are we getting here? So Tamina comes back, slaps her, beautiful slam. She got lost for a moment, finally went for the pin, got a 2 count. She goes for the Superfly splash. And I'm thinking right there, this shit's over. She's hitting the splash. We got new champions. No, misses the splash. She tags Natty. Basler gets the gets the blind tag. Natalya puts it in the sharpshooter. Basler with the Kirakuda choke. See ya later, Natty. Still your WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Shayna Basler and Nia Jax. Great story. Match was not. It was solid because of the story. In-ring work, whatever. But I like the fire from Tamina. I like the fire from Natty. And if all you have Shayna do is that and let Nia do her crap, I'm fine with that team. Because Shayna Baszler is a hot mess. I'm sorry, I'm not on the Shayna Baszler train, except when she's throwing those killer knees into submission holds. Beyond that, I have no use for Shayna Baszler. Or if she's talking on the mic, because she's really good on the mic. Good match, solid match, good story. I wasn't happy with the ending. The heels like reign supreme tonight.
Yep.
The title matches.
Which they had a chance to give us a feel good. Like I think out of anybody, like Natty deserved that win. Just because of all the shit that she's been, through in the past 10 years. I don't think she's had that feel good moment at WrestleMania. So today would have been a pretty good time to do it. But, I mean, what do I know? Creative is the geniuses of wrestling here.
You're not? I thought you were. I thought you were a creative genius. No?
Not in the eyes of WWE. I mean, like everything I predict, it goes wrong. So, I mean, heck, what do I know?
Man, if you were betting wrestling tonight, it was a bad night at the table.
I did not bet anything.
I know people that did, and they lost. They lost bad. So if you bet tonight's action, not a good night for you.
I stopped betting the day that. When did I stop betting wrestling? I think I stopped betting wrestling. It was at the. I think it was WrestleMania 33.
Wait a minute. You've bet on wrestling?
Yeah.
When I was betting in the day, I never bet wrestling. I know like a lot. I get like emails all the time from like betting sites out in the UK and stuff. I know they do it. I think the only thing here in the States is like DraftKings. DraftKings has like that.
Yeah.
I was like,
and
I forget exactly what it is, but I know like they got some type of thing with it.
My bookie has some stuff as well.
Yeah.
But I used to bet it because WWE was predictable back in the day. Like, I mean, before pre-WrestleMania 33, like they're unpredictable now. But before then, it was like you knew what you were getting at the end of the day. You were just there for the show and see how they got there. Now it's like we know how they're gonna get there. We just need to know who's gonna come out on top.
Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Logan Paul came out the booze. I was a little surprised by that because Logan Paul's a pretty popular guy. So that was surprising Logan Paul got booze. He sat in a chair next to the commentating team, and this is when the action finally picked up.
I do want to say this before we continue. Logan Paul's popular in LA. He was in the wrong coast. Not very popular on the East Coast.
He wasn't very popular with this Tampa crowd, and very physical match. And I said this, I think me and you were, I don't know if it was me and you or it was me or someone from DAZN we were talking, and like, man, like they're gonna go balls out here because they're best friends away from the ring. And I always notice this with best friends, they just beat the tar out of each other. And that is what we got here. This was a ton of fun. You could tell they were enjoying themselves. Like, they're walking out and they're like, oh, yeah, shit's about to go down. And God damn, was that fun. They're laying in the chops. They're laying in the punches. Owens came right out with the pop-up powerbomb. So, like, right there you knew, oh, dang.
It's going to be hard.
Powerbomb on the table. Zayn, I forget what move Zayn hit on the floor. Like, right, a couple minutes after that. But Owens was like, oh, I'm like, oh, damn, like, they're just killing each other. And, you know, Zayn got to the top. They got to the top rope. Zayn was trying for a superplex. Owens did that, like, I don't know, I forget that movie he does. Like a suplex, like a reverse
reverse inverted superplex.
Something. I love that move. That he hasn't busted that out in a while. That was a beautiful move. You know, it looks like Owens is about to put him away. Then he clotheslines him into the corner. He's running back, and here comes a hell of a haluva kick. It's like, God damn, Sammy. I'm thinking, okay, Sammy man, get this done here. He's talking shit. I'm gonna get you, and I'm gonna kick your ass. And tries for another one. Super kick. Owens just grabs him. Great job by Sami Zayn of selling the super kick. Bam, stunner. 1, 2, 3. Your winner, Kevin Owens. And then the fun began. Logan Paul gets into the ring, consoling Zayn. Congratulates Owens. Zayn's pissed. What are you doing? You're on my team. Pushes him down. The crowd boos the shit out of this. And I'm like, fuck yeah, Tampa. That's what I'm talking about. I was like, thank God. Now I'm kind of, it's like, that match, I'm kind of woke up and like, all right, now we're getting, this is WrestleMania a little bit now. Okay, this is a really great match. And I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. Logan Paul raises Owens' hand. Owens is like, what the hell's going on here? Kick, bang, boom, stunner. Logan Paul sold it like $1 million. That was beautiful. What is with these celebrities showing out here?
Man, I never seen.
Good Lord, he sold that stunner like someone shot him.
Jesus Christ.
Beautiful. Well done. Trending very well, by the way.
I like how afterwards too, when he's in the apron and the refs are checking on him, he's like, "Why'd he do that?"
Like Logan Paul sold that great from the time he took the move, to the time the referees and the medical personnel are helping him out.
Beautiful.
I didn't know like what to expect with that. You couldn't have. Usually WWE books celebrities and they book them like so weird, and it's like, what are we getting here? But at WrestleMania 37, both nights, yeah, Logan Paul didn't wrestle, and that's perfectly fine. Bad Bunny did a hell of a job last night. But Logan Paul did his job here. He did it well, very well, and he's getting the publicity for WWE that they want and what they need. So, in their eyes, and I know in their eyes because I've talked to people there, this is a win for WWE because they're getting the pub. Everyone's watching. Well done. Kudos to Logan Paul.
And probably the loudest pop of the night when he got stunned as well.
Oh, my God.
Because that was a great pop.
Lost their shit. I want to see how this helps out Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that because now it's like, what do you do with KO? You had the run with Roman. You're through. Now you get some good momentum back with winning the feud with Sammy. What do you do now with KO? I'm so confused on what they do with Kevin Owens.
I mean, it's just he's probably going to be part of that fatal 4-way to determine the number one contender. Like after every WrestleMania, happens all the time, every year.
Oh, we're going to get into. I'm pretty steamed about some save those. Save that talk.
Okay.
Save that talk. I got this in my notes since we didn't get to really show prep. I got a bone to pick about this main event.
Okay. And then on top of that, I want to see where Sammy's documentary thing is going. Like, are we ever gonna see a full Sami Zayn documentary? Or are we gonna? Is this gonna be like a SmackDown hacker type thing where they completely forget about it and we don't see him for 2 months and then he comes back out of nowhere, haircut and everything like that, and he's like, "Hey guys, I've been asleep for the past 3 years. That was all bullshit."
I hope not. I love this with Sami Zayn. I love everything about SmackDown these days. So I am like, please continue this somehow, please, because I gotta see the video.
Yeah,
we gotta see it. I think there'll be a payoff. I don't know what the payoff's gonna be, but I think we will. I think we will get the payoff one way or another.
Hornswoggle's the guy making the conspiracy. WWE's cop out for everything.
Let's get to the U.S. title. Riddle, Sheamus. Man, this was all types of fun. It really, really was. And this was another match. Like, when this match got announced, I'm like, all right, this is gonna be some fun here. Because their match on Raw recently, the couple of matches I've seen of them on Raw have been very good. Really, that really helped Riddle. It opened a lot of eyes to people backstage. The first match he had with Sheamus. That showed like this guy's legit. He can be a big. That company's so stupid. We already know Riddle's a big time player, but you gotta convince a bunch of old men who don't know left from right and don't know what the hell's going on. They don't know left from fucking right.
They don't do the research.
But that's a whole other day and a whole other time. But this match was another good match. This got my juices going as well, because they're just beating the freaking tar out of each other. Now, before we go any further, I want to admit I made a mistake. I know, Daryl. I don't make them. I don't make them at all. I'm freaking perfect. I am the perfect journalist, ladies and gentlemen.
I saw this right away too on Twitter.
Just kidding. This showed how much at the beginning of this match part of this match I wasn't paying attention. I sincerely thought it was Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, and Corey Graves. Well, I got 2 of the 3 correct. Riddle hit this awesome freaking jackhammer. He did like a new 2021 version of the jackhammer that looked better than any jackhammer Goldberg's ever done. Except for the one to Hulk Hogan in the Georgia Dome in front of 40,000 people. And I go, because they weren't calling it. Riddle did the move. Riddle then, they showed a replay. I'm like, call the goddamn jackhammer. So my happiness, I call out Cole, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton. Corey Graves retweeted it. I'm like, shouldn't you be? I'm like, why the fuck are you not? Why are you looking at your phone instead of commentating? And he's like, he subtweeted, and I'm like, ah, shoot. Man, did I screw that up. You can follow me on Twitter, by the way, at S Muehlhausen JR. I am Stephen Muehlhausen from DAZN, the man at the right combat sports journalist Daryl Rivera. Walkway to Fight Club. We are recapping night 2 of WrestleMania 37. If you're watching via Facebook, it's simple, guys. Follow the Walkway to Fight Club Facebook page. Give a comment, a reaction to the video right now. If you're watching via YouTube, it's simple. Just give the old thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I felt so stupid.
Lance Storm tweeted at him too in that moment. It's like, that certainly makes it much harder for you.
Lance Lance Storm saw me do that? Wait, say that again. What did Lance Storm say?
That certainly makes it much harder for you.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to read. Now I'm gonna have to do. I got to do a lot of apologizing. I got to reach out to Lance. I've already reached out to Corey. I reached out publicly, and then I sent Corey a DM, and we follow each other on Twitter, and he still follows me, but I don't think that's gonna last too much. I sent him a DM. He gave me a thumbs up, so because I didn't mean that. That was totally my fault. I do apologize. But I don't take back what I meant, because I thought that was total horseshit.
Yeah.
That you don't call out the move. My mistake on the announcer, that's my fault. You blast me. Go ahead. I made an honest mistake. I showed no one is perfect. Hell, every blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, DY. So, hey, I found mine. I made a mistake. I'm human. I apologize. Right?
Yeah. Corey Graves.
But it doesn't excuse the horrible commentary.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Corey, I don't think Corey Graves is going to be a guy that's going to take that too serious either. Like he knows what he is. He knows he's one of the best commentators in the game right now, and he's not gonna be mad about that. If anything, I can picture him laughing his ass off as he's reading it. He's like, "I'm not calling this shit. Like, what the fuck?"
Because my phone's going off. I'm typing away. And I'm like, why the fuck is my phone's just going boom, 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 boom.
It was funny though.
I'm like, what the? So I'm not looking at my phone. I'm typing away. I open up my email. I get an email from higher up I know in WWE. He's like, man, you caused a shitstorm on Twitter. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, check your Twitter. Then we're texting, and I'm like, look, he's like, check your Twitter, and I'm like, oh damn. He's like, I know you didn't. Like, no, I'm like, I'll message Corey right now, and I did, and it was my fault, but that was just unexcusable. And Corey Graves did a great job. Corey Graves, and I'm pretty disappointed in Samoa Joe, because Samoa Joe should have called that.
No.
I already know Byron Saxton's a Class A moron, and Michael Cole's right above him. So it's like, come on. Joe had to save him there. Joe didn't do it. I thought it was cute. Riddle did it. There's a reason Riddle did the jackhammer, by the way. From what I was told what that is, I think we can all figure that out. He's trying to get the attention of Billy. So we'll see if Billy was paying attention. But
Billy Goldberg.
Then they're going back to the match. They're going back and forth. Hard hitting. I loved. You could see their chests were red, backs were red. And this beautiful. They're both on the top rope. This beautiful Spanish fly. Oh my God. I was like, I just clapped at the TV. It was so beautiful. So beautiful. I loved it. A great move. I would have been fine if the match ended there. I'm like, that was a beautiful Spanish fly. Let me just keep beating the bejesus out of each other. Sheamus hits a bro kick. Riddle kicked out, and I'm like, you're thinking there Riddle's going to win. I'm like, I can continue the push. I'm like, I had no problem with that. Riddle gets the advantage. Looks like he's on his way to a successful title defense when he jumps in the middle rope for what appeared to be a moonsault. And I'd be damned, Sheamus hit the nastiest motherfucking bro kick to the chest that I've ever seen in my entire life for the 1-2-3, a new United States champion in Sheamus, and Riddle just bleeding out of his mouth. Like, they're staring at each other. Riddle's like, look at him, blood's just coming down his mouth. You can tell Sheamus is digging it, and he's like, fuck yeah, had a great match at Mania. Awesome job, Riddle. That was just beyond my idiotic mistake. I thankfully did not. I ruined the match for Corey Graves. I do apologize. But, good Lord. That was a freaking, as JR, our friend, good old JR would say, that was an old-fashioned slobber knocker.
Oh, yeah. It was fantastic. Sheamus has been doing his best work lately.
Oh yeah.
You see Riddle. Riddle's always going to work. He's very fun, very entertaining, very athletic to see in the ring. And I honestly think the right guy went over. I don't mind Sheamus winning the title here because it extends this feud. I thought the blow off if it would have been a blow off of WrestleMania, I think it would have been a wasted feud. I think this feud can lead, give it a couple more pay-per-views, have it blow off in a street fight or whatever the case is, because these two can beat the absolute piss out of each other. Or even go back to NXT and actually have like an MMA style fight. And I'd be so down for that.
I think this feud does continue.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I have no problem with that at all. I am a big fan of both guys. Sheamus is he's clicking right now on every cylinder. Riddle's clicking on all cylinders. Hey, this is going to help Riddle get to the next level. Because if Riddle wins, okay, the feud can't continue.
Yeah.
Lose the title. Now you have Riddle chase. And I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that's going to be just fine. I think that's going to work out for both guys.
I think this feud, like having Riddle chase for the title as opposed to him having it, gives him a more serious demeanor. I think don't get me wrong, I like what he's been doing as a comedy act, but Riddle cannot be a comedy act. This guy can be a legit ass-kicking machine if they give him the time to do it. Like that skit with Rob Van Dam backstage and everything like that. That was fun. All fun and everything.
That was fantastic.
Funny as hell. Now you need to get serious and start chasing that title.
I'm going to reach out to Rob, actually. I was thinking about this and I'm watching this video today. I'm eating lunch with my son. And I'm watching this and I'm like, this is just great. Like at first I'm thinking, man, because I looked at like a picture. And Rob didn't look in a good mood. And I'm like, man, that's unlike Rob. Rob's usually chill. He's laid back.
Mellow,
fantastic. And then a guy, combat sports journalist I respect immensely, he's like, watch the video. Then I watch it, I'm watching it while he tweeted it to me. And I'm like, okay. I get it now. Okay, cool. So, but no, absolutely fantastic. A great match. And a new United States champion in Sheamus, and I think that program will continue. Stephen Muehlhausen here from DAZN, along with combat sports journalist Daryl Rivera. Walkway to Fight Club. Let's get the new Intercontinental Champion, Apollo Crews, beats Big E. I loved Big E's entrance. Wow, they freaking smashed it.
awesome stuff.
Are you a fan of Wale?
I can't say that I am. I'm not I don't listen to a lot of English rap.
He is. I talked to him. This was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. He came out with something, and they reached out to his team. Reached out to us, and we set something up. And God, big time wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Loves himself some pro wrestling. That crowd was into it. Big E got a hell of a reaction. You could tell this crowd, the people, Big E's from Tampa, but you could tell. And it was the one thing about both last night and tonight. I was really gauging reactions to see how are the fans viewing certain talent? If this guy's not in one of the main events of next year's WrestleMania in Dallas, I think it's going to be an injustice. I really do. He's that fucking good. He's got he checks every, and we say this about a lot of talent. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic, he's got that connection with the crowd.
He's charismatic.
Checks every box. And this was a Nigerian drum match, which all it was drums around the ring. Like, what the fuck are they going to do here? What in the hell is I still didn't know when the match began, and the drums really didn't get used much. And I want to get your opinion. What do you make of that spot he does when he does like that tope through the ring?
I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm thankful that he landed the way that he did, because he could have hurt himself really bad. Like, as soon as it happened, I was watching at home with my dad, and both me and my dad were like, this could have gone so bad. Because it was a cool move, because you don't see a big guy doing stuff like that. And that's a testament to Big E, because he's very athletic. He can pull that off. But I was like, oh my God. 2 inches close, like his head would have tilted forward 2 inches. His neck is broken.
I hate when he does that spot, because this is exactly what you just said. Always looking like he's about to kill himself.
No.
Or he's going to paralyze himself.
But it's a pop-worthy move. I get why he does it, because everybody likes seeing it. But at the same time, I'm like, you're strong, you're big, you can do so many other things that you don't need to do that.
I just don't like I get it, but it's going to become a point, is the risk worth the reward?
Yeah.
And that's something I'm not saying he's got to come to that realization sooner rather than later. Yeah. I feel like maybe I'm totally wrong, but this kind of seemed to me was a theme of the last few matches, the last 5 matches of this show. Hard hitting. Unloading the kitchen sink per se. And this was another match just like these guys were just laying it all out. Another high octane contest. Cruz puts Big E onto the table, heads to the top rope, goes for the frog splash. Big E rolls off the table, hits the big ending. Looks to be on his way to retaining in the Intercontinental Championship. And then out of nowhere, Dabba-Kato. Yes. Dabba-freaking-Kato makes his debut at WrestleMania 30. We saw Dabba-Kato, but we didn't see Becky Lynch. Oh, I'm getting it. I can't wait to rip. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Dabba-Kato does his thing. Beats the tar out of Big E. Then drags Apollo Crews onto Big E. 1, 2, 3. The new Intercontinental Champion of the WWE, Apollo Crews. I thought the match was too short. I would have liked to see these guys get a little more time. Nope. I guess it does build the story.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. The Nigerian muscle, blah, blah, blah. I can get where they're going. That's fine. I felt like they were just starting to get going, and then it just got cut off at the least.
I definitely agree with that, because they had so many spots that were fantastic, and I think they could have gone a little bit longer. Definitely agree with that. Now, for those of you watching, if you don't remember who Dabba-Kato is, it's okay, because apparently WWE doesn't remember either. I was, how are you I get it if they were the SmackDown commentators, I get it, but Twitter, why? Well,
Who is this guy?
Who the fuck is this guy? Where did he come from?
I forgot who it was at first. I had to I put it in my blog. I'm like, God, who is this guy? And then I'm like,
it's Dabba-Kato.
And they went back, and I'm like, I'm looking through Twitter. I'm like, oh shit, that was Dabba-Kato.
Yeah, and it was like, what the? How do you go to that? You should have just said, hey, it's Dabba-Kato. What is he doing here? Why is he attacking Big E? Done. You can't be at WrestleMania. Who the fuck is that? Wow, he's huge. He's massive. Anyways, I'm gonna get away from that, because
keep going. Be my guys, man.
It's how the fuck do you not know who that is? We all know that Raw Underground was a total failure. It is what it is. It ended after a month. I get that. But guys like Omos, guys like Dabba-Kato, You remember those guys. Why? Because they're massive, they're huge, and they wrecked everything in there. You remember those motherfuckers. And what do? The first chance you get, oh, hey, who is that? I don't remember him. All of WWE social media apparently forgot who Dabakato was. And I'm like, dude, build him up. This was a big deal because he's a guy that you could build with, especially with Apollo Crews' new gimmick. This could be really, really good for both guys. But now you already started him behind the 8 ball by going, whoa, who is that guy? Like, what are you doing?
Very, very, very good point. One that should not be overlooked. The co-main event, Rhea Ripley captures the Raw Women's title, defeating Asuka. I love this match. Was it as good as what we saw in the main event last night? No. This was a completely different match. And in some ways, actually, I take that back. In some ways, this match had similar qualities. It was the power of Rhea Ripley, the technical ability, actually the speed and power of Rhea Ripley, and the technical prowess combined with the power of Asuka. But man, and they were clicking. Rhea was using her power, getting out of pins before the referee can even get down, getting out of the way, using her power, showing good mannerisms. She carried herself like a star. And I was worried about her going into this match. I'm like, can she, on the big stage? It's like it was hard to tell with Charlotte because there was no one there.
Yeah.
You can't really, to me, it's hard to get a gauge when at that time there wasn't any type of reaction. But I thought she really delivered here. I thought she was in with the right opponent. And let's see. Hold on. The DDT from Asuka on the apron. Good Lord. That was the nastiest DDT DY I have ever seen in my entire life. Good Lord. I could tell. I can tell that hurt. Asuka's throwing a barrage of kicks, having no effect on Ripley. She's telling Asuka to bring it. Asuka attempts one more kick, misses. Ripley takes advantage, scoops Asuka right up, hits the riptide, scores the 1, 2, 3. The new Raw Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley. What a match. Very good. Not as good as last night, DY. Both ladies brought it, though. Very solid match.
Yeah, in this match, you had 2 ladies that could work. And here's the caveat on top of everything. Rhea Ripley's only 24 years old.
That's scary.
Yeah. We're going to see her for a long time, hopefully. Barring any intangibles, injuries, God forbid nothing happens. But you see how Rhea Ripley performed at the biggest stage, the biggest stage of them all, WrestleMania. You see Asuka. I hope after this, Asuka goes back to what she was when she first came up from NXT. This scary, ass-kicking women fighter. She could legit beat most women in a street fight. Make her seem that. Because now, this past year, you made her seem like, hey, she's a little jokey, she's bouncing around, she's singing, she's dancing. Bring her back to heel Asuka. I want to see that one. Now with Rhea Ripley and everything winning the title, Charlotte's probably going to be in the horizon somewhere. You see this match, and it was fantastic. Because you didn't, and it proved that you didn't need Charlotte Flair, which is one of the biggest things that was happening during the build. Are they going to add her? Are they going to not?
Yeah.
And it proved that you didn't need Charlotte Flair. As great as she is, you didn't need it. You could have worked with Asuka. Now, my biggest thing with this angle is it was a title reign that Asuka, it felt dragged out because they buried Asuka through the mud because they kept pinning her. And the Raw Women's title was so low in priority-wise. Taking a backseat to the tag titles, taking a backseat to Charlotte Flair's return, taking a backseat to many different things. Getting pinned, getting the can they coexist treatment, which is played out and boring at this point. And even without that, because the build for Sasha and Bianca started heating up closer to Mania, this one had one good like contract signing, and that's it. And it have a build.
The old contract signing.
The old contract signing and the old can they coexist tag match against the tag champions.
A Bruce Pritchard special, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Bruce
I'm not kidding, and I love Bruce. I'm friendly with Bruce. That's a Bruce Pritchard special. I'm not kidding.
That's what he does. That's what he does. And even without that, it's a testament to both ladies. The fact that with that shitty build, they still delivered. And good on them, and good on Rhea Ripley for winning it. Because now, at 24 years old, I think she's the youngest women's champion of all time. I think. Might be wrong with that. But now you're cooking with fire. And this is not a knock on Asuka. It's more of like, hey, your reign got treated like shit by creative. This would be a good time for you to reset, repackage, and come back. This might be the best thing that happens to Asuka. And now with the title on Rhea Ripley, now you can get that women's division on Raw going. And for fuck's sake, separate them from the tag titles. For fuck's sakes. You have enough talent that you don't need them every week on the tag division. Fuck.
Good rant there. I love that. You're spot on. Everything I was gonna say, you said. You're not wrong in any of those assessments. Because she should be very easy to book.
Yeah.
Look at what Triple H did with her in NXT. That's how you book her. I'm not saying she should never lose. I'm not saying it before all you morons out there say, well, Muehlhausen said, and I'm getting tweeted at. And getting threatening emails and called a moron and all this other nonsense. But
you're living rent-free on people's heads, my man.
Oh, fucking right I am, and I love it. When you're thinking about me and I'm not giving two shits about you, at the end of the day, my paycheck clears every fucking month from DAZN. That is fine with me. I know my place in the game, and I'm perfectly good with that. So that's cool. But if you sit and look at it, she was one of the big stars at 20 through this. No fans. She got to show her charisma. She got to show how talented. Because that was one aspect of her game we really didn't see. Is there another layer to her? Okay, if I peel the onion back per se, how is she? Aces, all the way. They've fumbled her ass ever since she's gotten to the main roster. Yeah, she had this long reign. Yes, she came in, won the belt, but then you had her lose to Charlotte Flair. You could have made her. But then you have her pin Becky Lynch, only to lose the title back. They don't know how to use her. She would be best served going elsewhere. I hate saying that. She's too damn talented for that company. And don't get me wrong, I love WWE's women division. Man, when you got Asuka, Ripley, Belair, Banks, Bayley, Charlotte Flair. Oh, I'm finally now getting the Becky Lynch. We'll get into Becky Lynch coming up next. How do you fumble her up? This division should be cooking more than it is. And hopefully, it seems like a new era right now in the women's division. You got the new fresh blood. Bianca Belair. Rhea Ripley. Then you got the veterans chasing after them. You got the Baileys. You got the Bankses. You got the Flairs. You got the man. Now it's cooking. You got Asuka. My God. You can always throw in Shayna. You can know, and Naya's always lurking too. I think Naomi should be getting more of a push than she's getting. I love what I'm seeing from Liv Morgan. I think there's a lot of potential in Mandy Rose. I'd like to see Mandy Rose get some love. But hot damn. How do you not have something for Asuka? How do you screw up Asuka?
WWE creative at its finest. How to fuck somebody up that is really hard to fuck up by WWE.
It's WWE. All right, let's get. And you're going to wonder, everybody, why am I having this scroll up, this banner up here? Because out comes Titus, the hosts of WrestleMania, Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan. And by God, was Hulk Hogan getting freaking booed. Lord. Man. That's what happens when you put racist people, jam them down your throats. Man, you could tell Titus O'Neil was biting his tongue.
Oh, yeah.
He could tell.
He's a pro.
Oh,
he's a fucking pro.
You're never going to get more of a pro than Titus O'Neil.
No.
One of the genuine, and there's a ton of good people in wrestling. Don't get me wrong. He's at like the top of the top. And in all honesty, the people that I've dealt with, he's one of the best people to ever deal with. And you can tell he's biting his tongue. So they're out there yakking, and here comes Bayley. And the crowd goes ape shit for Bayley. Because they know, why isn't she in a match? God damn. And where's my fireworks? Fireworks are going off, and I'm the real host of WrestleMania. I'm like, this is fucking great. Now, the crowd's chanting for her. You start to hear chants for Becky. And what the fuck do we get? Because then Bayley's like, oh, the legends, and naming a bunch of other wrestlers. And Becky's getting chants. Bayley's getting chants. Out come the fucking Bella Twins. Not kidding. Recent inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame. And I'm not bashing their contribution, because for what they did in helping bring that female demographic, I'm more than kosher with that. And I actually enjoy Nikki Bella's work in her last couple of years when she was full-time. But I'm like, come on, I know what's happening here. What the fuck? I love. Why are you out here? John Cena's not here. Boom! Shakalaka. Oh my God, I almost peed my pants. That was great. They throw her. Brie gives a knee. They throw Becky. Segment ends. They do their little skate dance. And where in the fuck was Becky Lynch? I asked. No one's giving answers. But I did ask. The running plan was for her to be here this weekend. I swear to God, if she appears on Raw or SmackDown, why the fuck would you put her in with virtual fans and not in front of a live crowd? All I'm going to say, if she appears on Raw or SmackDown this week, what the fuck were you thinking?
I don't think we're going to see her for a while longer, to be honest with you. Just because that's a pop, that's a heavy pop to have virtual fans. That's one. Number two, I think they're enjoying the trolling of the fans, because she just keeps trolling everybody on Twitter, and I'm finding it amusing, and it's funny as hell. Because right now, if you bring her back, doesn't make sense storyline wise. I get it. She's an attraction. She will draw. I totally get it. But at the same time, you can't WWE this. And I'm using them as a fucking verb because they do it all the time.
Oh, I fucking love you.
You can't fucking blow your load right away. You have to, the need is there. The fans are wanting to see her back. They're expecting it back sooner rather than later. You bring her back when you have a good angle. You can't bring her back to feud with Rhea Ripley, who just became a champion. You can't make Rhea Ripley a transitional champion. You can't book yourself in a corner here again, which is what they fucking do all the time.
Bingo.
So I'm fine, and it sucks to say it, I'm fine without seeing Becky Lynch for the next month or so, just because you need to have a good storyline set up for her. If you don't, she's going to get a good pop early on, and then she's going to be treading water in the middle until they get a good program out of her.
I think they're waiting to see what they're going to do for SummerSlam, because their target right now, from what I've been told, their target to have their next big next show with fans is SummerSlam. They want to start getting back in the arenas and the road to SummerSlam. They're in the Ulang Center or Arena, the home and University of South Florida. They're there through the end of July. So the running plan and this is just see how things are going to go, but the running plan is to be in a full arena, getting back to some type of touring starting in August. So just depending on how the world goes and everything, but that's their running plan right now. I think they're going to wait and see how things go a little bit. Because you got to think they're going to... I wouldn't do Becky and Ronda at WrestleMania. And people have been asking me about Ronda Rousey. This is what I know as of right now. They did agree to a new deal. Her contract was supposed to expire yesterday. At midnight, 11:59 p.m. yesterday. They did agree to a new deal. So there's no worry. There's nowhere that they do have a new deal locked up. But I would you say that's WrestleMania. That's not, to me, that's not SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But if you want to go Ripley and Becky at SummerSlam, okay, then I can. It establishes Rhea, puts her in a good spot, and then I think you let Becky rock and roll, and then you can get her rocking and rolling, and then I think you're off to the races there. But we'll see what happens. So you never know. Let's get to the main event. The Tribal Chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, retains the Universal title over Daniel Bryan and Edge. Good reaction for DB. Thunderous reaction for Edge. And the boos are raining down on the big dog. What were your thoughts of the main event?
I thought it was good. You wanted to make a champion look like $1 million, and that's what you ended up doing. The double pin, that's how you make a tribal chief the head of the fucking table. That's how you make him look like a badass. I get it. Jey Uso got involved left and right. It was expected. But at the same time, he asserted his dominance. He pinned both of them, which is something we've never seen before. Edge technically pinned Daniel Bryan. Just saying.
Stop.
I'm just throwing that out there. Conspiracy theories, man. Just throwing them out there. But that's how you make a champion look. If you're not going to put the belt on either Bryan or Edge, you make it look like you just beat the fuck out of both of them. And that's what happened. A concerto would do that. And hey, concertos are back. Haven't seen one since Edge.
Those are fucking scary.
Oh, dude. As soon as I saw it.
I cringe. I'm like, please, no.
Not on Daniel Bryan with the history that he has with concussions. I was like, oh, God.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
God, as soon as I saw the Bryan one, I was like, oh, my God, this is going to... Anyways. Yeah. But it ended up working out. Both of them got pinned. I'm not mad. I don't think I was going to... Either of the three, I was going to be mad with the outcome. This was booked. Basically, this was the best booked angle going into the event because you couldn't go wrong with either of the three guys. Bryan was hot going into Mania. Edge just coming back, had the thunderous ovation at Mania. And then Roman Reigns is the best heel that you have right now. He's the best character you have right now. Couldn't go wrong. And I think the way that they went about it, cool. Because now you set up Edge versus Bryan. That's a nice little program. Now you got Roman. Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna get a shot next? Could it be Cesaro? Rollins? You leave questions unanswered, and that's what you're supposed to do. Now, fun fact, everybody except the SmackDown Women's Champion is a heel. Everybody except the SmackDown Women's Championship, every other title holder is a heel.
Think about that for a second. Let your head spin on that. And came out. Uso played a huge role early on, delivering super kicks to Bryan and Edge. Then he gets put out of commission. A beautiful impaler DDT onto the steel steps. Thinking he's out for the match. A lot of good back and forth action. Bryan applies a yes lock to Reigns. But Edge saves him. Then Bryan applies the same maneuver to Edge. But Roman Reigns made the save for Edge. I thought that was like a cool little unique spot there where both guys were saving each other there. Loud chants of Roman sucks. Puts Bryan on the steel steps. Beautiful powerbomb, folding him in half. And Edge came out of nowhere. A beautiful spear. Then they're just going back and forth. Bryan hits the Busaki knee. Edge hits some spears. Edge is pissed off. Brings chairs in the ring. Looks like he's on his way to regaining the belt he never lost. Concerto to Bryan. He's out of commission. About to do the same to Reigns. And here comes Jey Uso. Attacking Edge with a chair. Edge came back, took out Uso. And then here came the big dog, the head of the table. He showed why he was the tribal chief. Beautiful spear. A concerto to Edge. Puts Edge, drags his ass on top of Daniel Bryan. He gets on top of both guys. 1, 2, 3. Still the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns.
$1 million.
The first thing I wanted to see was what was going to be the reaction to all three guys. I'm actually shocked Roman Reigns got booed. You know how fans are with these types of heels. That's a good sign. That shows what's going on is working. So that's a good thing. You can take it either as it's working or they're just never going to like him, regardless of what he does. You can honestly spin it both ways. You really can. I think Roman's doing a hell of a job. I really, really, and I want to emphasize that before I go where I'm about to go here. I love the work he's doing. I love the work Paul is doing. That duo is just clicking right now. And with Jey Uso getting that opportunity, stepping up, I like it. But I didn't need to see Jey Uso come back. That match was clicking. They were rocking. It was a good start. Jay got his shit in. He got his moment. You got him out. Let these three go at it. I wasn't the world's biggest fan of that interference at all. Not a fan. I wanted to see Roman just get it done. I had no problem with them winning. But you brought it up astutely. Who does he beat now? He's running through everybody. There would have been nothing wrong with a title change, and he wouldn't have had to eat the pin. I thought that's why they made the match. I didn't think he was going to win. I thought they would have gone with Bryan or Edge. That'd have been cool for a few months. And then Roman runs over them. He gets the belt back at SummerSlam. But where do you go now? Where's the destination? You can't go with Seth. Seth just got ran over by Cesaro. Maybe Cesaro's the guy. I'd have no problem with that. But Cesaro's got to win. You can't build all that momentum for him to get squashed like a fucking bug.
Yep.
You've already run off KO. You've ran off Bryan, Edge. Right now, Seth doesn't make really much sense.
There's a former NXT champion in the roster by the name of Shinsuke Nakamura.
But you've kind of killed Nakamura losing to Seth. It's like Cesaro's really unless they're going to go with Big E, get Big E a couple big wins, maybe you go with the Big E route. Maybe this is where I hate when you said that number one contender bullshit. But I got a feeling they're going to fucking do that.
Fatal 4-Ways, baby. Fatal 4-Ways after Mania every year.
Oh, freaking bad.
Every fucking year.
Such lazy ass booking. Lazy booking.
Every year.
I would honestly, I mean, that was my big qualm. Two qualms about the match. I didn't want to see the interference. But now I want to know what Roman's destination is next. It's too early for Brock. It's too early for The Rock. Look at that. But where do you go? Cesaro is about the only, and I have no problem with that. I'm glad Cesaro. Hopefully Cesaro will get the opportunity. But it's got to come to the point where the shtick is going to get old. This was a spot where you didn't have to do it. Really didn't. Really didn't have to here. I wasn't a fan of how that whole finish went down. I like the whole pin idea. You could have found a way to still do that without Jey Uso's happy ass coming on. Main event, Jey Uso. No way. All right, let's get to these. Let's get to the questions and comments. Everyone watching, Stephen Muehlhausen from DAZN, Daryl Rivera, combat sports journalist extraordinaire to the right. Walkway to Fight Club. It's simple, guys. If you're watching via Facebook, like and follow the page. Leave a comment or leave a reaction to the video. If you're watching via YouTube, also very simple. Give it the old thumbs up. And subscribe to the channel. Let's get these questions going and comments. Khalid. Shit is worse in my opinion. Hey, Khalid, did you watch the show tonight? Is my question for you, Khalid. Did you watch the show? I hope you did. I hope you did, my friend. Thank you for leaving a comment.
I hope you watched the show from last night. Still hadn't watched it by the time he was watching our reaction video.
Joshy Lopez, my man. Josh, good to hear from you, my friend. Hope you had a good time out in Tampa, man. He one of my guys that was at Mania both nights, made the trek down to Tampa. Beautiful brogue. Oh, such a sexy brogue kick. My God. Oh, I got goosebumps, DY. Still thinking about that one. All right, let's get some YouTube questions here. Said Gilmer 1104. What's up, guys? What are your expectations for after Mania? We were kind of alluding to this a little bit, Roman.
Yeah.
Let's kind of knock this out here a little bit. We'll start with Lashley. Where does WWE go with Lashley? Do they run it back with Drew? Do they maybe do they go a different route? Do they maybe go? Do they bring? You can't go AJ right now. Sheamus is going to be tied up with the Riddle. Do you maybe go with Keith Lee? That could be a returning Keith Lee. Could be a possibility. Maybe you go back with Drew. I don't know how you can go back to Drew right now. considering Lashley just beat him,
Yeah.
made him, submitted him. It'd be hard to. Drew can say I passed out. Maybe you can take a cheap way out, but seems like Drew would be. Maybe I think this would be a situation where your 4-way idea actually would make some sense here.
Yeah, I mean, it depends also who's going to get called up from NXT.
Yeah, we got Raw after Mania tomorrow night, so
Yeah.
this shit could get shaken up pretty good.
A lot of shit's going to get thrown to the fan tomorrow. So we're going to see a lot.
What would you do with Rhea Ripley?
Charlotte had that angle going. Basically like a redemption angle. Hey, can you consistently do it in the big time? I beat you last year for the NXT title. I'm going to do it again for the Raw title. Bring that into into Backlash. Which, by the way, why the fuck is it called WrestleMania Backlash?
Oh, let's get into that bullshit. What the fuck?
What is it?
I asked right when I saw it. I put it on Twitter. I talked to some people. It's all Vince idea. They have no idea.
What the
It's all I know.
I don't understand the pay-per-view change. Like I'm completely against pay-per-views being named after a gimmick match. Like the TLC pay-per-view, the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Those make me want to grab Vince's head and throw it through a wall. Now you have WrestleMania added to a back. WrestleMania is a once in a year thing. Don't make it more than it has to be. Like it, people look forward to it. Backlash is Backlash. Everybody knows Backlash is after Mania for a reason. It's in the name. We're not dumb. We know what it means. It's gonna be based. Yeah, it's gonna be a thing based on WrestleMania. You don't need the name on there. Like it WrestleMania Backlash. Like that makes no sense. It's stupid. It's fucking stupid.
You know you like it. You know you like it, D-Boy. You know.
I hate
Actually, wait, hold on. I want to go. What do they? Bianca Belair.
Bianca Belair running back with Sasha for a while.
I agree. All right. Sad's back with another one. We needed Becky back. Sad, you are a smart man. Biggie. Okay, I don't know what that meant, but same goes. Oh, okay. Here, we'll go to this one. Everyone who has titles on Raw is technically a heel.
It goes back to what I said with the SmackDown Women's title being the only one that's a babyface right now.
You know, I was thinking about this as we've been going on, and we were talking about it a little bit. WrestleMania is supposed to be the old adage of putting smiles on people's faces. You only had one babyface win a title.
Nothing says feel good moment after a pandemic. First time we have fans back, than having every heel win the fucking match. Ha ha ha! Troll.
Especially when you go and you did not have fans. You did not have fans for 13 months. And you have heels winning the titles or retaining the belts. WTF. That just is such a damn head scratcher. It makes zero sense. You could have done a lot of these title changes at Backlash.
The ultimate
WrestleMania Backlash, yeah.
Oh my fucking god.
Makes no sense, man. No sense.
Why is Vince loonier than?
Because he's Vince.
Like, fuck.
75 years old.
Nuttier than a fucking fruitcake, man. It's just
Peccoon. Nuttier than a peccoon.
Peccoon, yeah.
Finn Balor goes to SmackDown to face Roman. That is interesting. They each have one win over each other. I don't know what Balor's gonna. I don't know if Finn wants to go back to the main roster. He is a pretty kosher in NXT, but Finn's at that stage now. What do you do with him in NXT? He's had the belt. He had a good run with the belt. It's like, what do you do with Finn? Maybe a main roster move. Maybe he returns to their main roster. I don't know anything. I'm like, but that wouldn't be. I'd be cool with that. You need a. You can go. He can go there. You can go to the Raw and can challenge Lashley. And there's some interesting things that I still think you could do with Finn Balor that is main roster stuff.
Yeah. Either way, whoever's going up against Roman is going to take a couple losses here. Like, they're not. If they didn't do the title change here at Mania, they're not going to do it at a secondary show like Backlash. Oh, sorry, WrestleMania Backlash.
It's going to be a big show.
Is it?
No, I mean just in terms of like, if you're going to have Roman lose the title, it's going to be on a big show. It's not going to be on this.
Yeah.
Whatever the.
Like a SummerSlam, a Survivor Series.
Royal Rumble, Mania.
Even a Royal Rumble. Like, I wouldn't do it at a Royal Rumble, but it's a big show, but it's more big for setting up the matches for Mania.
All right. We will end with this, because what was your favorite moment of WrestleMania 37 of either night 1 or night 2?
Oh, this is, as a fan, Bad Bunny showing out. Most of my favorite fan moment. Best moment overall. I think Bianca just winning the title was the raw emotion, the main event after everything, the closing areas of the match. I can still hear the whip. I haven't heard anything like that before, and it was just insane. And like in a wrestling ring, I think that was still, to this day, now that both matches or both nights have happened, I still think that was emotionally match of the night. Technically speaking, match of the night is still Cesaro and Seth. That was a barn sermon.
That was my favorite moment of the weekend was Bianca Belair beating Sasha to win the title. Just because you look at, I was talking to some people in wrestling today about this, like some journalists and everything, and talking to some friends about it. And then I rewatched that match this afternoon with my son. He thought it was, and this is how I looked at it. And I was, because I didn't think at first, because he was like, Daddy, why are you watching wrestling? He's like, you watched this yesterday. I was like, well, no, I got to work tonight. And he's like, okay. He'll be 5 in a couple months. And he asked me, he goes, Dad, he's like, why are 2 girls? Because I'm like, oh, this is the main event. And he knows what the main event is. Like, he's watched enough fights to know final match is the final bout match is the main event. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, buddy, this is the main event. He's like, oh, yeah, okay. He's like, the final match of WrestleMania. And he knew it was WrestleMania because we've been talking about it all week. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, why are there 2 girls? So I explained to him, the significance. And he's like, that's cool. And this is my form. And he doesn't understand skin color or nothing like that. But he's watching it with me. And I'm looking at him every so often just to see if he's staying glued in.
No.
He stayed glued in from the entrance of Bianca to when the final scroll. And he said to me, he goes, that was really cool. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, oh, they were doing this cool stuff, and you could tell he's like, they were hitting each other really hard. And you've seen all those people react. You've seen the girl that won, she was crying. And I'm like, if my 4.5, and I'm almost crying right now because I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
And that's what wrestling's about, man. if we all look at this, guys, ladies and gentlemen, we saw history. You can say what you want about tonight's show, but if we're going to look at the big circle of this weekend, we saw history this weekend. We did. And I'm proud of that because we're not running our head through the wall, wondering what the fuck is going on. We had fun. We were watching. We were fans. Fans first, journalistic hat second. It was a historic moment because women don't get enough credit. And it's not just in wrestling. It's just in life. You know? I'm like, I got 2 boys. And I'm sitting there explaining it this afternoon with my almost 5-year-old. And he says, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, if he can get it, the rest of the world should get this. Women should be treated the same as men. It shouldn't matter of someone's skin color. It's still significant because we have a long way to go in this country, and this isn't going to be a black, white, Hispanic, Asian conversation. But for what happened last summer and what is going on right now in Minneapolis, you know, the world still unfortunately looks at color. It still looks at it as gender. It shouldn't be viewed like that. It shouldn't. I don't look at I'm half Mexican. I don't look Mexican at all. My children don't look a quarter Mexican. They don't. They look like my wife. Thank God. But I don't look at you as Puerto Rican. I view you as Daryl. I have black friends. I don't view them as, okay, you're black. I don't view someone as white or Asian or whatever. I view a woman as a woman. Who cares? Women have to work extra harder than the men. Why? I don't freaking know. I wish I had an answer. And that sucks. Because women do equal or better work than men. They do. That showed last night. Because what are we talking about? Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, Rhea Ripley, Asuka. But in terms of the final thought, is exactly what you said. We saw history. Hopefully this is the last time we have to sit and we have to have that type of conversation. We should be accustomed to now seeing women, and now I'm talking wrestling. We should now be used to seeing women in prime positions in pro wrestling's biggest event. This should no longer be, well, maybe someday. They're fucking here. They have arrived. It took that 75-year-old man a long time to get his head out of the sand and figure this shit out. Luckily, he's got a daughter who's got a halfway of a decent brain. To keep getting into his head, and the fans keep demanding it. The fans should get more of the credit than the boss's daughter. In all honesty, and it's not a disrespect to stuff. That's just calling it like as we all see it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, after what we saw last night, we no longer have to. That I never had, and I loved writing it. First, 2 African American women in the main event of WrestleMania. First one-on-one women's singles match in the main event of WrestleMania. I hope I don't have to ever write that again. And I'm glad, because now they should just be expected. If they've earned a spot, God damn it, They should be there. The women work harder than the men. More often than not, the women are delivering in the ring better than the men. That's how I view this weekend. We saw history. I'm proud to say we witnessed it, and we get to talk about it. The women are going to continue to kick ass, make a lot of fucking noise, and let the world know we should be on and be treated at the same level as the men. I don't know if you got anything else to say, but I've been waiting to say that for a long time, and I think I got it.
I can't follow that. I 100% agree. That's all I'm going to follow it with.
I tried not to cry. Then it just weighed on me. Like it's like watching my kid. Like he's fucking only gonna be 5, and he's having it. We don't have those conversations with him. Like it was something we watched with women's soccer. It was a women's soccer team. They were playing Argentina in a qualifier, and he thought it was so cool. He didn't know girls played soccer. He's like, well, I'm like, buddy, we right across the street. There's a great soccer. This girl's like 11. A hell of a soccer player. She's awesome. Really good. I'm like, well, buddy, Lily plays soccer. He's like, why do you know, when you get older, girls do this? And I'm like, buddy, I'm going to teach you a ton. We watched the whole game. He thought it was cool. So it's education. As long as people educate, women are only trending up, and that is a good thing. And we'll end with that. And this has been a great couple days, everybody. Man, WrestleMania is in the books, DY. Coming up this week. You don't even notice because this happened this evening while I was covering WrestleMania. We will have video will be up with the new NXT Women's Champion, Raquel Gonzalez, who beat Io Shirai night number 1, the main event. This is what I mean, women. Key theme, ladies and gentlemen, of the jury. We'll be talking to Raquel Gonzalez tomorrow. I will have that video up after, and you don't notice either. If I get my COVID test, dose 1, baby.
Got mine on Tuesday.
What can I expect from this first dose?
Your arm is going to be sore.
Ah, shit.
But it's not going to be like a sore, like, oh my God, my arm's going to fall off. It's going to be like, hey, I just did 50 push-ups. I'm sore.
Oh, yeah. Shit, I haven't done 50 push-ups.
I'm a pitcher, so I'm a pitcher in baseball, so I'm used to that. It's just going to be in my left arm instead of my right arm.
I had it booked. My wife did it this afternoon. And then WWE reached out and they're like, can you do it? We're filling up the block with Raquel. And the time they had was the time I was getting my test. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to see if I can reschedule this. Luckily, I was able to reschedule for an hour later.
Okay.
So I emailed them right back. I emailed WWE right back. I'm like, let's rock and roll with that. So Raquel, and I will get the second dose on May 3rd. So which means more than likely, unfortunately, I will be heading to Dallas for Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders, which I will find that out this week.
Can I go with?
I don't want to go.
I'll go for you.
I don't want to go at all, but my employer's the one streaming and running the event. So more than likely, I will have to be in Arlington, Texas. But we'll be talking to Raquel Gonzalez as she talks about her win, another historic win, dethroning the great Io Shirai to become the NXT Women's Champion at night 1 of NXT Stand and Deliver. And also, Tony Harrison, former Unified 154-pound champion. He returns to the ring on Saturday night. Saturday is an interesting day for boxing. I'm looking at as Tony Harrison will be headlining a show on PBC, returns to Fox. Be talking to Tony tomorrow as well. That interview will be up later in the week. It's an interesting Saturday. You got Demetrius Andrade, Liam Williams, earlier in the day on DAZN at 3 Eastern, 2 Central. Dimitri Bivol. It's a big fight for Dimitri Bivol as he's in the co-headliner, the WBO light heavyweight champion. And then you have Tony Harrison returning later on in the night. And then you have the mega fight, DY. The fight we've all been waiting for. Triller presents Jake Paul. Ben Askren.
Who's been waiting for this fight? Was he talking to me? I'm not waiting for this shit.
But you know what? We're going to do a podcast on it.
I'm not going to watch it. I mean,
oh, don't worry.
It's the missus' birthday.
It's the missus' birthday.
Oh yeah. It's her birthday Friday. We're celebrating Friday and Saturday.
Oh, look at you, big spender. But yes, there will be some type of Jake Paul, Ben Askren. Because I will have to cover that atrocity probably. We got UFC this week. UFC, big fight, middleweight fight is the headliner at the Apex. Former middleweight kingpin Robert Whittaker taking on former interim middleweight title challenger Kelvin Gastelum. That's a fantastic fight. I love that fight. Big fight for Whittaker. If he wins, he'll be likely facing Israel Adesanya in a rematch. Izzy's got no choice now. He's going to have to face Robert Whittaker if he wins, whether he likes it or not. And we will end with that. DY, how can the fans find you on the social media?
You can find me right here at DY21 or DY21 on Twitter or on Instagram at Daryl17 Rivera.
Can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Muehlhausen Yes. And then you know what? Out of that whole shenanigans, I gained a couple followers.
Nice. I'm still reading the responses to it.
Dude, I just stopped.
There's so many responses, and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. I fell down
Some people had my back. A lot of people had my back, though. Yeah? I will say to the people, they know. I know Corey knows. And I know WWE knows.
Can I just read this one really quick?
Sure.
The guy replying to Lance Storm sounds like an excuse. Not calling the match. Why didn't he run down the ramp? Nice dress shoes and high humidity and everything. Grab the ring announcer microphone and then make the call.
Oh, shit, that's awesome. I owe Lance an apology. Because now Lance should have just kept his mouth shut. I love Lance Storm. Lance Storm is fantastic. Corey Graves is great. So I think Corey Graves is the best announcer in WWE. Oh, and don't forget, we'll get into that. There's new commentators on Raw. Adnan Virk, formerly of MLB Network and DAZN and ESPN. It'll be Adnan Virk. Corey Graves is moving to Raw. And unfortunately, Byron Saxton is still going to be around. I don't know how Byron Saxton even stays employed. I don't know what the status is of Tom Phillips. I have asked. I have not gotten an answer. So it doesn't. I know Tom wasn't doing Mania because of COVID-19 protocols. So there was nothing more to that. That was all I was told on that. I don't know who's going to be joining Michael Cole on SmackDown. I would assume Samoa Joe. I hope Samoa Joe can freaking knock some sense into Michael Cole.
I hope Samoa Joe starts wearing ring gear again.
It's Concussion City is a motherfucker, and he's still out. I don't know when or if he will return, but he wants to come back sooner rather than later. But right now, in the role he's in, Joe is kicking some major ass. We will be back. We will be back tomorrow night. Yes, we are doing a Raw podcast. The only reason we don't do Raw podcasts anymore because every Raw is not worth talking about, or SmackDown. But this is a notable Raw because it is the Raw after WrestleMania. There's always something going on. The Raw after Mania. So we will be talking everything and anything that's going on in wrestling and MMA and boxing tomorrow. But the main focus will be a recap of the Raw after Mania. Don't forget, you can also find the Walkway to Fight Club on Facebook. It's simple. Walkway to Fight Club. Like and follow the page. And also, YouTube. Simple. Subscribe to the channel. leave this video a thumbs up. Leave a thumbs up to all our videos up there right now with AEW CEO and founder Tony Khan, the former WWE champion Drew McIntyre, the former Universal champion Braun Strowman. Raquel Gonzalez will be up. I'm hoping tomorrow, if I can get the graphics done right, I'm going to start fiddling around with that tomorrow. If I'm not busy, I'll be doing that. So we'll have Raquel Gonzalez, Tony Harrison will be up later on this week as well. Don't forget, the audio version of this will be up as well. It's simple. We're on every podcasting platform. Just rate, review, and subscribe. It's very simple. We make it very difficult, very easy. Audio will be up tomorrow morning. I do promise, because it is time for bed. For D.Y. Rivera, I am Steven Muehlhausen. We will catch you guys tomorrow night, right around like 10:15 Central Time. Peace.